Hello, my dear friends. You're on the Military Summary channel, and today we will discuss the situation in Ukraine on the 8th of October of 2025. Today we have lots of very interesting updates, so let's start. And first, we're going to talk about another massive drone attack across Ukraine. Today, the pro-Ukraine resources published this picture where we can see the results of work of Ukraine defense. The Ukrainians are saying that during the night, the Russians used 183 drones, and Ukrainians, as a result of air defense, managed to bring down 154 drones of the Russian production. But despite the fact that Ukrainians managed to bring down almost every single drone that was sent by Russia, the Russians managed to deal significant damage across Ukraine. We got lots of videos published from different parts of Ukraine, from the northeastern part, from the southern part, from the Odessa region, from Dnipropetrovsk region, from Poltava region. For example, this video is coming to us from the Chernihiv region, where we can see that the Russians, as a result of attack, managed to destroy either ammo depot or fuel depot in the vicinity of the settlement by the name of Nizhin. Furthermore, the Russians attacked the different facilities, energy facilities also across Ukraine. Ukrainians, I would like to remind you, currently suffer huge problems with power outages. Now let's move further and let's discuss the situation on the ground. And first, let's talk about the Zaporozhye direction, where the Russians once again managed to improve their position significantly. According to the Minister of Defense of the Russian Federation, the armed forces of the Russian Federation managed to establish complete control over the settlement by the name of Novogrigorovka. As a result of resolute and decisive actions, units of the Group of Forces East captured the settlement of Novogrigorovka. This was stated by the Minister of Defense of the Russian Federation. Furthermore, the same update, the same reports were published also by different mappers. They adjusted the map probably yesterday in the evening, and most likely the neutral mappers and pro-Ukraine resources didn't expect that the Russians would be able to capture the settlement of Novogrigorovka so fast. And today, somewhere at noon time, Russians published this video where we can see how exactly the battle for the settlement was taking place. As usual, first the Russians began bombing the settlement with aviation, with bombs. Then the Russians began bombing the settlement with artillery systems, with multiple launch rocket systems. Later, then the Russians sent drones with the purpose to secure the area and to destroy vehicles that were abandoned by Ukrainians, and in the end the Russians sent troopers with the purpose to finalize the situation and the operation. And during this video we can see how exactly everything was taking place, and in the final part of this video we can see how Russians in different parts of the settlement of Novogrigorovka were raising the Russian flag. So now we have no doubts that the Russians captured another settlement in the Zaporozhye direction, and based on this video and based on the report of the Minister of Defense of the Russian Federation, we have adjusted the map, and now we can see the full picture in this area. So this is the situation once again by the end of the 5th of October of 2025, and this is exactly the moment, probably the evening or the night before the beginning of a major offensive operation in the direction of the Uspenivka and Poltavka fortified areas. So this is the moment when everything started. By the end of the 6th of October of 2025, the Russians, as you can see, managed to break through Ukraine defense in the central part of Poltavka and basically to capture these territory. As for the 6th of October, this information was provided as by pro-Russian resources without any confirmation. Furthermore, the Russians managed to shorten the distance to the Uspenivka fortified area and to encircle the settlement of Novogrigorovka. By the end of the 7th of October of 2025, the Minister of Defense of the Russian Federation and several pro-Russian resources reported that Russians managed to capture the settlement of Novovasilievka, which is already a part of Uspenivka fortified area. So the Russians not just captured a small village, they captured a part of fortified area, which means that the entire defense, the monolith of the defense collapsed by the end of the 7th of October. The next day, so today on the 8th of October, the Russians reported that they captured Novogrigorovka. So as you can see, another day, another village is being captured by Russia without almost any resistance from the Ukrainian side. And we believe that in coming days, the Russians will capture the settlement of Poltavka. It seems that Ukrainians have no chances to hold their positions in this area based on the reports and based on the pace of Russian offensive. Furthermore, and as soon as the settlement of Poltavka Falls, Russians will intensify their activities in the direction of Uspenivka fortified area. You know that according to my understanding of the situation, it's just a matter of time when Russians will secure the entire Uspenivka fortified area, and this is a very huge territory that Russians may capture. And the most important value of these two villages, of these two fortified areas, is that they are very big, and these areas will allow the Russians to continue concentration of their critical mass. They will be able to concentrate thousands of soldiers in this area. We're not talking about tens of thousands, but they will be able to accumulate probably 1, 2, 3, 4,000 soldiers in this region with the purpose to move further in the northern direction towards the settlement of Pokrovska, and the most important, in the western direction towards the settlement of Gulyai-Polya. As for the city of Gulyai-Polya, we got just one geolocation from this area, but this geolocation is very important. In this video, we can see how Russians, as you can see, have already established complete FPV drone control over the only road that goes in the direction of the settlement of Gulyai-Polya from the settlement of Pokrovska. Here we can see how Ukrainians were trying to escape this attack, this impact, but they haven't managed to do this. The Russians destroyed this vehicle that was trying to escape through the fields. The Russians, as you can see, was the Russian FPV drone operator was even playing with Ukrainians, but at the end the vehicle was damaged and destroyed. So the most important value, and what I was trying to tell you by showing this video, that Russians captured or established or created another kill zone along R85 road. Why the Russians did that? Everything is simple. Ukrainians still can send troops and forces first in the direction of the city of Gulyai-Polya, and then after regrouping, the Ukrainians can send these units in the direction of the Uspenivka fortified area. So the Russians cut the main logistic lines and roads just with the purpose to probably to finish the battle for this territory as soon as possible and as fast as possible. Now let's move further and let's discuss the situation in the Pokrovsk direction, where the Russians also continue their offensive operation. As for this area, the most important video is coming from the Pokrovska mine, where we can see how Ukrainians were hunting and attacking Russian soldiers, Russian stormtroopers on the territory of the Pokrovska mine. This is a strategical position that the Russians began assault operation on. Some sources are saying that the Russians managed to dig in deeper to capture a part of this area, and now both the Russians and the Ukrainians are fighting for this strategical stronghold, but it seems that according to updates we have, according to the entire situation along the line of combat contact, it seems that it will take just several days and Ukrainians would be forced to fall back. And if Ukrainians lose control over the mine of Pokrovska, the Russians will be able to begin advancing further. The Russians will enter the operational space to the north of Udachne, and from these positions the Russians may outflank the city of Pokrovsk using this probably line of attack towards the settlement of Grishina. So everything tells us just about one thing, that it seems that the battle for the Pokrovsk agglomeration is coming to its logical end. As for now, it doesn't even matter how many days it will take, how many weeks or months it will take. The thing is that most likely the battle will be finished. Most likely in this 2025, Russians will be able to capture the entire agglomeration, and then Russians will be able to start moving further till the borders between Donetsk and Kharkiv region, so with the purpose to capture the Donbass region completely. Now let's move further and let's discuss the situation in the Kostiantynivka direction. During the previous 12 hours we received lots of updates, and the most important video is coming from the settlement of Pritechina. And in this video we can see how Ukrainians were attacking positions of the armed force of the Russian Federation on the territory of the settlement. We will not watch the video due to violence, but there are just several seconds that we can take a look at. So there is an attack of a FPV drone on position of the armed force of the Russian Federation on the territory of the settlement. So based on this video we have adjusted the map, we have colored this part. Now we see that the Russians are shortening the lines. Furthermore, right before we started making this video, several neutral map snipers reported that the territory to the south of Kliban-Bytska water reservoir, the settlement of Kliban-Byk itself, Plishevka, and these fields were also captured by Russian forces. So we will analyze this information. Maybe we're going to get additional updates or let's say clarifications from different experts, and of course if we will adjust the map before the next video. So one thing, what I'm trying to tell you, that's the battle for the outskirts and for the gap between the city of Kostiantynivka and the Russian position is also coming to the logical end. It's very difficult to say when exactly the Russians are going to begin their major offensive operation on the city of Kostiantynivka, but one thing is clear, that the same situation as with the city of Pokrovsk and the city of Gulyai-Polye, it seems that we can start counting days. Now let's move further and let's discuss the situation in the Sivers direction. According to information we have, the Russians continue their offensive operation along the railways between the settlement of Vyemka and the city of Siversk. In this video we can see how Russians captured the positions, former positions of the Armored Forces along the railways, and how Russians raised their flag in this part of the front line. Furthermore, another group of Russian forces tried to capture this company stronghold, and some sources are saying that this position was captured by Russia. We have this video where we can see how Ukrainians were trying to counterattack Russians with the purpose to force them to fall back, but we believe that due to all these videos and updates that we got from this direction during the previous days, the Russians captured this mega stronghold, and Russians, of course, right now will secure the area around, and then they will continue advancing further in the northern direction. But another important detail, that any further movement of the Russians in the northwestern direction means the beginning of the battle for the southern part of the city of Siversk, for the city limits itself. Now let's move further. As for the Liman direction, the Russians are shortening the distance to the city from northwest, from the north and northeast. During the previous 24 hours, some changes, very interesting changes, were recorded on the line between the settlements of Stavki, Zarechne, and the city of Liman. According to information we have, the Russians captured these injections of roads, and the Russians improved their positions towards this injection from the settlement of Zarechne. So, according to pro-Ukraine resources and according to pro-Russian resources, now Ukrainians are trying to concentrate their troops on the territory of these strongholds. As you can see, there are lots of strongholds right exactly among these fields. Now Ukrainians are fortifying, they're strengthening their positions, they're regrouping. Most likely during the previous months and weeks, the Ukrainians managed to create additional strongholds and fortifications in these fields, and it seems that Ukrainians are planning to fight for this territory for as long as possible. So very soon the major battle for the city of Liman is going to start, and this battle will start first from this territory, from these fields to the east and the northeast of the city of Liman. So this is the most important and fortified area that Ukrainians will fight for, no matter it will cost them, no matter the price they're going to pay for this. But something tells me that Russians most likely will try to outflank the city of Liman through the forest, because moving through the forest will allow the Russians to stay or to continue stay invisible against Ukrainian drones. So it seems that this is the tactics that the Russians are going to use, and this is the reason why the Ukrainians are trying to hold their positions on the territory of Yampol for as long as possible, because they understand if they lose Yampol, most likely they will lose everything. They will lose Liman, they will lose Siversk, and in the end this will lead to the beginning of the battle for the city of Slaviansk. Right in front of your screens we can see scenes and video about the city of Liman. As you can see, there are very heavy clashes. We can see that there are lots of fire pockets, lots of fire anomalies, smoke screen above the city. All these videos, all these scenes, episodes are telling us just about one thing: there are very heavy clashes, and both the Russians and the Ukrainians understand the value of this area. As for the northern directions, the Russians during the previous 12 hours improved their positions on the territory of the city of Kupiansk. We have this video where we can see how Ukrainians were attacking positions of the armed forces of the Russian Federation on the territory of the western and the northwestern parts of the city of Kupiansk, and this video confirms that this part along the river Oskol is already under complete Russian control. And here we can see the same story as we can see in the city of Pokrovsk, in the city of Liman, and the city of Gulyai-Polye, Polia, this battle is also coming to the logical end. The question is probably when this battle will be finished, how many days the Russians need for this, but it seems that most of these battles that we have discussed during this video would be finished by Russians in 2025. The question is probably whether this situation, whether these battles and endings of these battles will lead to the complete collapse of Ukrainian defense across Ukraine. So most likely this is the question. And that's it for today. Military Summary channel reminds to condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.